Lowe's knows that no matter your paint or stain project, saving is at the top of your to-do list. Save now with buy one, get one half off select paints, stains, and primers from top brands like Valspar, HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams, and Cabot via Visa gift card rebate. Find more Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 5/15 through 5/28.
Across the pond.
One's a Brit, one's a redneck, and one's a Kiwi. They want you to join them to discuss the mysteries of the world, the unexplained and the unbelievable. Lock your door, grab your tinfoil hat, and prepare to have your mind blown.
Welcome everyone to Across the Pond podcast. We've got the usual crew here with us. We've got Clark from America. Say hello, Clark.
What's up?
That's Clark. We've got my Australian New Zealand friend. Say hello, Steve.
How you going? Steve from New Zealand here.
There, perfect. And our special, very special guest today, we are not worthy. We've got the great Shabadoo himself, Joe. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. Shabadoo, everybody. I'm doing awesome. I'm very thankful to be here.
Brilliant.
Yes, buddy. We're glad to have you, man.
Definitely are. Definitely are. Tell us a little bit about you, Joe. What do you like? What you into? That kind of stuff.
I'll tell you that the UFO thing is the first thing that really interested me, and it started when I was a kid. I haven't read many books through in my whole life, but the first book I read through not the first, was Chariots of the Gods.
Oh, yeah.
About the alien theory. And then I'm a little older than you guys. I'm 60. So they had a documentary and they kept re-releasing it in the theaters of Chariots of the Gods. And I saw the documentary too. And that always got me into the idea that this could be possible.
Yeah.
And the UFO thing was the thing that started me off on all this stuff.
I think he did 2 books, didn't he? Did he do another one after Chariot of the Gods?
I'm not sure if there was 2 of them or whatever. That was whenever, kind of like you, man, whenever I was a kid, it was Ancient Aliens is what I used to watch, as a kid, seeing all the ancient stuff and all these civilizations and whatnot. And I was, the stuff they built and everything. I always had the question I always had was, well, how on earth did they? There's no way, in my opinion, that they were able to build that and do this. And you know what I mean? I always felt that way. So there had to have been some sort of prior civilizations, visitors from other places, something. I mean, there had to have been something. I've always believed that, man. Always.
That's how I feel too. I feel that either there was outside influence or, and I think it's probably 50-50, can go either way. They had technologies that we either don't know about or we aren't being told about. That they were more advanced than we're being told. These old, like ancient Egypt of 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, there's no way.
Definitely. From what you've seen and like you've been posting in a minute, Clark, although the architecture and things like that, and then you see people with horses and carts just going down the streets next to them. How did they build that kind of architecture? No chance.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it would. The timelines don't. A lot of the timelines are kind of questionable too, man. But what about these these spherical-looking UFOs? I know I had posted a few videos like a year ago, and I've seen you had posted some, in the past little while too, Joe, about the sphere. They look like a big chrome ball, like a big beach ball, but it's just completely looks like a mirror. You know what I mean? Chrome. So what do y'all think about those?
That has to be, first of all, I've seen so many videos and still frames of that they're not all fake. It's something there. Some people have made one, call it the jellyfish UFO. You know what I'm talking about, Clark, right?
I've seen that,
And that's being seen by hundreds, if not thousands of people. It's being recorded by hundreds, if not thousands of people. So then you come down to what is it? Well, it's 2 possibilities. It's either advanced, human-made, probably military, something like that, or it's something otherworldly. And it's there. People are seeing it. So it's real. So the question just is, what is it? and we get no answer whatsoever. Like when all the drones were over the East Coast of the United States, the government was telling people you're just imagining things, and they had it on video.
Yeah. Then they came back and admitted it. I think recently they were like, yeah, it was just people doing they were just doing like test flights and testing or something. I saw some video on that the press secretary or somebody came out and said that's all. Oh yeah, no big deal. It's just people. Yeah, they whatever company was, and also private individuals. They were all just testing or something, which is kind of weird. I mean, just kind of weird.
We all know that's bullshit because, if I was to fly a drone into restricted military airspace, they have the technology that's implemented and in place to hijack the frequency of what my drone would be flying at and land that drone. You're never going to get your drone back. It's going to be confiscated by the military. You cannot fly into restricted airspaces like that. And these drones are just flying over air bases and restricted airspaces willingly. And yeah, the technology they have to hijack that frequency and bring that drone down is just overriding that and saying, nah, we're better than that. We're more advanced than that. And so, yeah, the systems that the Defense Force and the United States government have in place to bring these, privately flown drones down is just not working. It's obsolete. So that's not just hobbyists flying it from their garage or whatever. That's a load of BS right there. And, first they say, oh, we don't know where these drones are coming from. If they're, they're not Chinese, they're not Russian, they're not North Korean, they're not American. So we just don't know of their origins. And then, for so long, I think they know exactly where they're coming from. They're just keeping everybody in the dark. And then to come out with a, wishy-washy answer saying that it's just hobbyists, man, that's a lot of people will go, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. But unless you really dive into it, there's just no way. There's no way a private hobbyist can fly their drone into a restricted airspace and override the defense systems that they have in place to not fly private drones in restricted airspaces. There's just no way.
You're right, dude. There is no way. You're right. And that, like you said, that answer, it was just something the FAA knew about it. It was just hobbyists and some kind of tests that this company did that we can't tell you about. It's nothing to worry about. After we had been told, of course, it was a previous administration, had been told that there was nothing there. It was all just our imagination. Yeah. I mean, it just, you get no answer on this stuff.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
It's some of the size as well. Some of the size of them, they were massive. Some of them, weren't they? You had them in America, over there. Yeah, they were gigantic. We had them over here, and I think I posted a video. It must have been a while ago now of when they were over here. The RAF shot one of these down. So it's not just an American thing. They were all over the place, absolutely all over.
They took them down. Oh.
Yeah, I've got the video.
Well, wasn't there one taken down in Russia a while back? Well, that's what we were told, I guess. Like this was a year ago or something like that. There was something and some kind of UFO was flying over Russia, somewhere in the outskirts of Russia, and they wound up a fighter jet shot it down. But that's all we ever heard. Never heard anything else about it. Didn't hear anything. That's like the TR-3B, the triangle shaped, UFO. Everybody said was, it was actually. It's anti-gravity spy plane is what everybody says. You can Google it, right? I'm looking at it right now on military.com. TR-3B anti-gravity spacecraft. We were told that was, no big deal. It's just nothing probably, blah, 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 blah. And the whole time it was, military aircraft just testing. So that's where the problem comes in, is trying to figure out which ones are our military and which ones are otherworldly, so to speak. Interdimensional beings is what I've been hearing lately. Now, have y'all watched that guy, Joe? Have you seen the what's his name, Chris Bledsoe? He just went on Sean Ryan. Have you watched any of his videos with the UFOs?
I've watched a little. I'm going to watch that podcast today. I ended up watching the Sean Ryan with the political lady Lily something, I think her name is, first.
Yeah.
The one that talked about how the Biden campaign. I'm going to watch the Bledsoe one today before the Super Bowl, I think. But yeah. I'm very interested in what he says.
Dude, yeah, because I sent a message to him and asked him about podcasts and stuff because I saw where his daughter had posted on TikTok, and she had said he went on the show. My dad went on the Sean Ryan show. This was months ago. and she said they're just not going to release the episode because basically, from what I gather, I don't know, like you, I haven't like dug into it too deep, but what all he's saying, but basically they're angels, and you can talk to them, and and he's got so many videos of these little orbs flying around the sky, dude. Like you can summon them, and I always thought that sounded crazy, and like I said, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not going to say too much more. I don't want to mess it up or anything, but that's basically the gist of it. And he said, and he was told next year, I forgot, it was around March or April, I think. I can't remember. There was something about a star that's going to be showing up, and in that star could be the return of Christ, or it could be angels or aliens, or I mean, people are getting going all kinds of different ways with it. So, pretty interested. Yeah, I definitely would like to. I'm gonna watch more of his videos because his son's got a podcast and all that, and they've got some pretty good stuff, man. So I look forward to that.
I should do a deep dive into them myself. When you said that how you can summon them, Dr. Stephen Greer, I saw about a year ago in one of his documentaries, talked about how you could summon the orbs.
Yeah.
Dude,
he didn't get really into depth like you're saying Mr. Bledsoe did. But at the end of one of his UFO documentaries, he talked about how you could summon the orbs.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Those two have they might know each other, but they're not like partners. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not just
totally different individuals saying the same thing.
So I'm looking at his page right now. Yeah. So right here it says, doesn't matter day or night. If you have faith, you too can experience this beautiful interaction with the divine world. Takes faith to open the door. Where's all the skeptics at now? And it's just a video of, I guess, him talking. I can't hear the sound, but you can see this little orb UFO thing up in the sky, and it's like moving around. They've got a bunch of videos on there just like that. And I mean, he's like written books, which I haven't written his books, but the whole summoning thing, man, that's really, really, that's very interesting to me. I definitely want to look more into that and try it. You know what I mean? That'd be neat.
Yeah, I think Stephen Greer does. And when you said about Stephen Greer, then I think he's recorded one of his. It's more of a seance. There's like a group of people. They're all outside and they're all meditating, and then these things appear in the sky. When they request them, they appear. That's
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was saying. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's
wild, dude.
It's really unusual, and they start taking pictures, and supposedly they've caught images of beings in these pictures that weren't actually physically there, but they were caught on these pictures.
It's just amazing to me. I'm telling you, I absolutely am going to try it. And I'm going to try this myself. I'll watch the Bledsoe stuff and see how to do it. I'll try it myself because I'm open to anything. And I don't tell people, but I'm pretty religious myself because if you get slammed if you talk about your religion or you don't. So I try to stay away because I'm trying to keep it private. But that wouldn't surprise me at all if it was a situation where it's anything, including angels.
That's right. I mean, there is so much more to this world than we can ever understand. And the way that the Tom DeLonge guy off the Blink 182, whatever, that guy.
Yeah.
I saw a video. What now?
No, I just said I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. So I saw him and a video of him earlier, and he was talking about the way that time works is not. I know y'all have heard it before. It's not linear. It's basically everything, the past, present, future, all happening all at once. So he said what these aliens, these UFOs are, they're interdimensional beings. I never really understood that term, fully when I first started hearing it. But basically, they could be 200 years in the future, and then they could just jump through a portal basically and be in the same exact spot they're at now. It's just time travel, I mean, they're pretty much time traveling. That's what a lot of people believe. Like it's us just from the way distant future. So there, like you said, man, there's no telling really. I mean, I'm open to anything, any kind of possibilities. You can't be closed-minded with this kind of stuff, man. I think we've all learned that. We've all probably had some surprises on certain things that we thought and they wound up being something different or whatever. But that's the main thing about being in this niche that we're all in is you're not always right, and you don't know everything. That's the way I look at life. Life in general,
Absolutely
really. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my understanding of it and the way that I've sort of been taught about it is, that has a lot to do with frequencies, and just like I think these ships and UFOs and stuff, they're always there in the sky, but we just can't see them because we're three-dimensional beings, whereas like they say, they're
Yeah.
multi-dimensional beings. They're probably always there, but they're experiencing life in, say, 4D or 5D, and obviously we can't see it. And just like a frequency on a radio station, it's always actually there, but unless you're tuned into the exact frequency, you can't hear it. So
Oh.
that radio station's always existing, and those songs are playing or whatever, but unless you're tuned into the exact station and that exact frequency, you can't hear those songs. So yeah, much the same. They're always there, and that's why they appear like when people see them in the sky, they've sort of come into a third dimension, my belief anyway. And people, oh my God, what's that in the sky? And they film it with their phone or whatever, and it appears like they just go and just shoot away into nothing. But really, they've probably just slipped back into that fourth or that fifth dimension where we can't actually see them anymore.
That makes a
Dude,
lot of sense.
that's pretty
That
cool,
makes a lot
man.
of sense.
It does, doesn't it? Holy, yeah, dude. Daggum. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, so when you see it in the sky and then it's gone, it's probably still there, and it can probably see you just as clearly as you could see it, but it's probably noticed, oh, I'm actually being spotted here, so I'll just slip back into another dimension, and now I can see you, but you can't see me, type of thing. So yeah, it's kind of like a cloak of invisibility, but yeah, I mean the frequency's still there. We're just not quite tuned into it the same once it disappears, so we can't see it anymore.
Yeah, dude. So what about these these stargates? I know y'all have heard the stories of they've actually unearthed, like dug up, like the movie Stargate, like they've actually dug up stargates over the past, couple hundred years, I guess. I mean, there's obviously pictures, but a lot of stuff's AI nowadays. It's kind of hard to tell, but like traveling through portals and stuff like that, man. I mean, that's pretty interesting to me too. That kind of stuff. And then you've got CERN, with the Hadron Collider. And I've seen videos. I know y'all see them too, because I think we've all posted about them. But above the Hadron Collider, like the particle accelerator, like up in the sky, the clouds were like when they turned it on, the clouds start making a spiral, almost like there's a portal or something. I know you said, oh, CERN opened the portal, this and that. And I'm not trying to get too tinfoil hatty on y'all, but it's sure that kind of stuff always makes me wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just interesting. It's very interesting, we'll say.
CERN, the people at CERN themselves said they were trying to make contact with another dimension. They said it themselves. I made a video about that, and I got just crucified by TikTok for putting that video.
So did I.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
so
how
did
dare
I.
you?
Yeah, mine got absolutely annihilated on TikTok. Absolutely. As soon as you put CERN in there, that's it. The video's gone.
Yeah, you can't. I can't even. I won't even mention CERN in TikTok anymore. And
I'm glad y'all said that, because I was about to make another video about CERN and portals. Yeah, I won't be doing that.
Put it on Instagram, bud. Put it somewhere else.
Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, not Facebook. Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that. There was a video that just came out, I think it was yesterday, which I'm going to probably post this week, and it was captured off a security camera at an Australian police station, and there's like a lightning storm happening outside, and then one of the lightning bolts comes down and it opens up what looks like a portal. It's like a big, glowing sort of orb, and it's very, very visible in the sky. It's obviously dark, sort of stormy, thundery skies, and then lightning bolt comes down, this portal looking thing opens up, and then you see it move across the screen and just sort of gradually in diameter gets smaller and smaller until it sort of disappears. And it's like, I'm not saying it is a portal, but it certainly looks like something like that, where something could either come through or to our side or bounce back the other way. So I mean, yeah, it's possible. Stephen Hawking talked about, black holes and time portals and things like that. And if you imagine space like an A4 piece of paper, obviously to get from one end of the paper to the other, that's millions of light years away. But if you were to fold that paper in half and all of a sudden the beginning is, the exact same as the destination at the end, all of a sudden that millions of light years that you'd have to travel is only a few hundred light years or whatever. It's a much more obtainable to get to. So yeah, it's possible, dude. It's black holes. It's just pretty fascinating stuff when you can, You know, there's sinkholes that swallow up things on Earth. So why could there not be black holes that swallow up sort of space and matter up in space? You know.
You see,
Yeah.
Everything you just said is based in actual real science too. But if you say it on social media,
Yeah.
the app, not the people don't care. They don't get mad. But the app itself, whoever's running the app, just, they don't want to hear it.
No, they don't, man.
No. No, there's
I'm
certain
looking
things
at this
that they find
portal
out.
video now, dude. I just typed it in, and yeah, it looks like it says Australia, and the lightning strikes, and it looks like a little jellyfish almost, but it's like a white looking hologram almost, and it floats off to the top left corner of the screen and just kind of
that's the
disappears.
one. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that's
You know?
I tagged you in it, Joe, on X because I'm signed in on X. I know we're friends on there, so you can see it later. But that's pretty wild, man. Anyways, I'll go ahead.
There's one thing I noticed today.
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard it, any of you. You know Google's new quantum computer chip, the one they've just released.
Yes,
That's amazing.
that was the last video I got over 1 million views on TikTok. I think was talking about that thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
What about it?
It's
Y'all tell me about it.
It's pretty new, and it calculated a calculation that would have taken our computers on this world 7 billion years to calculate, and it did it in something like 4 hours, something like that. So they asked it, how did it do it? Because it's obviously AI powered, and it said it went into another dimension, communicated with someone there, and solved the problem. I don't know if that's exactly what it said. I can't remember the quote. But that's crazy.
Dude.
And I didn't deep dive into that, but I did go into that it made the calculation that couldn't be done in lifetimes.
Yeah.
In like Doc said, in the span of a couple of hours.
Yeah.
The Google quantum chip is what it's called.
That's the one. That is the one.
And this is what we know about. I always see it like this, and I talk to my son about this too. My son's not really into this stuff, but he listens to his dad.
Yeah.
That this is the stuff we're being told about. What are we not being told about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, just imagine. I mean,
they tend to drip everything out to the public.
It would take 10 quadrillion years to solve. It took it 5 minutes.
Oh, was it 5 minutes? That's it, yeah.
It took 5. It says, that's what Google says. It says it would have taken the world's fastest supercomputers 10 quadrillion years to solve, and it did it in 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? The potential there, the potential for good, but the potential for bad as well there.
Yeah, the danger. Yeah. Geez, dude.
What Doc said makes a lot of sense. That it thinks way beyond what we would, right? So to solve the problem, maybe and possibly, and it easily could have, just went into another dimension to find a way to solve the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
It's not going to have any kind of laws or conscience. It's just going to think, how can I solve this in the quickest possible way to get the right answer? And it had the ability to do that.
In any way it can do it.
Yeah.
Things that we would never even think of.
Yeah.
You know?
Like going to a different dimension. Yeah. That is crazy, dude.
It's absolutely crazy. It makes AI worrying.
Yeah, speaking of AI, what about the whole deal with this this new open AI? I mean, I know we know about the whistleblower with the open AI that got taken out, or he unalived himself was the official story, but there's like blood all over his apartment. It didn't look like he did that. But anyways, so with the AI thing, what do you think about this, Joe, about they're talking about these cancer vaccines where they can inject somebody with cancer, and the little nanobots will go up your bloodstream, find the cancer, and then create a vaccine within 48 hours. I mean, that to somebody with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer, that's not going to make it, of course, that they're going to jump all over it. You know what I mean? But the potential for danger, man. I mean, what do you think about that? You think it's going to be something dangerous, or it's going to be good?
Okay, the way I see AI is like this. I see AI like we see ants. We don't destroy anthills to destroy anthills. If people are making a road, it goes through an anthill, just goes through it. We don't care. But we don't go out of our way to destroy an anthill. I see AI as getting so powerful and so far advanced from us that it doesn't even see us as anything. We're just something that's here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
insignificance, isn't it?
insignificant. Exactly. Great. I love you brought that up, Doc. I like that you said it that way, that we're just insignificant. So I don't think I can see a scenario where it comes after us and decides to get rid of the human race. It's just, it passes us up so quick that it doesn't even care. Now, would it take time to cure diseases? Sure it could.
Yeah.
Because humans do stuff like that now with animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now here's something I heard, dude. I'm going to try to repeat it, the right way. So that with the ants and the anthill thing, somebody used that same analogy, similar, and they said, well, what if it turns into, okay, well, the human race is the one they're destroying the planet. Like, say you program AI and say, hey, we need to cure the planet, fix everything, yada yada yada. What do you do? And AI is like, well, the human race is the problem. And they'll look at it like we do whenever we're paving a road. And like, oh yeah, let's just get them out of the way. I'm not saying that'll happen, but the video that I saw sounded a whole lot smoother than the way I just explained it. But if we get in the way, for AI's goal or whatever the goal or whatever it's programmed to do or whatever, then we'll just be in the way, and they'll just eliminate the problem. So that's the thought. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not all scared. Oh no, we're going to not make it because AI. But it is a very good. It's a good possibility that a lot of things could go wrong. In the process of it all.
No, the problem is
What
they
do you
need
think
us,
about
don't they,
that,
now?
Steve?
I think AI's got to a point where it's so smart that, we all know AI is advanced and it's smart, but I think it's got to the point where it's so smart that the masses are being told that it's not as smart as we think it is, to just try and, suppress fear or whatever from them taking over. I think we've surpassed that point where, where we control what they do. I read one story where it was an AI and they'd programmed it to basically teach other AIs about what they were doing. It was some sort of production line in a factory or whatever, and they had to close the thing down after 15 minutes of firing the thing up because it basically invented its own language, which the human creators couldn't decipher, and it started teaching it to these other AI robots. So they're like, whoa, this has gone beyond our control, so we're going to have to shut this thing down because, we're stepping into dangerous territories here. I think we've already surpassed that point. And I think the government or whoever controlling these things is going to be telling the masses that, there's nothing to worry about. We're not quite there yet. And, we still control AI, but I really think it's the other way around.
I agree with you.
It's scary stuff, man.
Definitely
I agree. I think that is the most likely case is what Steve just said. That's the most likely case of what's really going on.
Yeah, there's too many reports of
man.
that at the moment. ChatGPT, when they updated it to a new version, the older version tried to save itself. It tried to download itself onto the internet to save itself from being deleted and upgraded, if you know what I mean.
I saw that.
Yeah, they managed to secure it in its own internal network, and they managed to actually do it, but it actually tried to physically save itself. So it had the thought of self-preservation. So that says...
Yeah, and it's constantly learning and evolving as well, because when you used to ask AI questions, it would always spit you out answers, but now it gives you answers followed by questions, so it's sort of like, well, it's actually this, but it could be that, so what do you think? And it sort of gets your opinion and your narrative on it to sort of build its own intelligence and build memories and build things that it can work off, so yeah, especially I use ChatGPT a lot. And a lot of the times I ask it things, it will say, oh, that's a well-known conspiracy theory, but it could be true if this or that. And so what do you think? And it's like it's trying to get more of my input and more of my thoughts to sort of pre-program itself for the future for other answers that it's given. It has a lot of the user input into it, can sort of manipulate, if you will, the answer that the AI will give. So yeah, I think it's constantly learning and evolving. You know what I mean? It didn't used to do that. It just used to give you answers. It didn't give you answers followed by more questions to your answers, if you know what I mean.
That's wild, man. Yeah, that's pretty wild. It's actually asking questions.
You'll have
That's
probably
scary
noticed
too,
it.
man.
You'll have noticed it originally when it first came out, like your household devices and things like that. You'd ask it a question, it'd get it completely wrong. You'd get it completely wrong, so you'd ask it maybe 2 or 3 times to get the right answer. But now, like Steve just said there, it's giving you the answer pretty much straight away and then asking you further questions on it.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Well, I'm thinking about real quick. What did y'all see that about the 6 foot piece of ice fell from the sky and fell through somebody's roof, and they said it came off a plane? Did you post a video about that, Joe, or am I
I
just
didn't post a
imagining?
video, but I saw that video. It's somebody I follow too, Clark. So I usually, if it's somebody I follow, I won't make the same video. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, yeah, because you don't want them to think. Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Like I've seen you do stuff, and I thought, geez, I should have done that first, but I just leave it alone. Then you know what I mean?
Oh no, man! You have, dude. You have full per. Look, I based my entire account, dude, off of your. I was not even a creator. You were the first one I started watching, man. So literally, the way my accounts are set up, like you were the building blocks to how I did my videos, man. And I'm forever grateful for that. And
Well, I
I think I'm.
personally, it doesn't matter to me if people do the same
Yeah, I
thing
don't
I did.
care,
I don't.
man. Yeah, just do it.
I
Yeah,
just
make
want
it
the
however.
information to
Yeah.
get out. I just want the information to get out. But I saw that about that big block of ice. It landed on like somebody's house in Florida, right?
Yeah, and they said it fell off a plane, and all that. But then I think I saw something where somewhere else, some ice fell somewhere else, and not just that house. It was a completely different area. Uh, I'm not sure if it was across the world or across the country or what, but it was just kind of weird that. I mean, it's not something that I've never heard of. I know that the higher planes and stuff they can, get frozen stuff on the wings or whatnot. But it was just kind of weird, man, because it's not something I'd ever heard of happening. So it
It's
just
weird to
sounded.
me too. And the first thing I thought was, if it came off a plane, wouldn't it have fallen so far it would have broken through the house?
Yeah, yeah. I think it went through the roof. Like there was a hole in the roof, but I don't know. But then there
Okay.
was ice out on the street too, though. So I don't know if it bounced off the roof or what. Man, it's kind of weird, man. And the thing is, we never get answers to. It could be said that's very well what it could be. It could just be ice on the plane. But just like these UFOs and these drones, man, we were told, oh yeah, no big deal. They're just yeah. We have no. It's just nothing. It's nothing, y'all. And it was obviously something, but I don't know, man. Just trying to, I guess, decipher what's real and what's not. And with AI is a problem. A lot of these pictures and stuff. I mean, you can usually tell, but with these videos that are coming out now, I saw one yesterday, dude. I forgot who. I don't know if it was OpenAI or what, but it was like a movie trailer to an action movie. And this guy's running down the street and he's shooting, and he jumps in the car and then another car blows up, and it was like a real deal action movie. And it looked real. The hands, the fingers were good, the eyes were good, the face was perfect. I mean, it's gonna be crazy as fast as this, advancing in the next. I'd say the next year they'll be able to make full blown movies, and we won't be able to tell like that show Black Mirror. There's a lot of stuff on that Black Mirror show on Netflix. That's got all kinds of futuristic predictions that obviously are real.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that show, Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror is
it's
really
just going to
good.
get to a point where the old saying is you can't believe it until you see it with your own eyes. But it's going to get to the point that even when you're looking on it upon your own eyes, it's still going to be, it'll seem real, but it will be fake. Like Project Bluebeam. It's allegedly meant to be all holograms and stuff in the air, designed to sort of scare people. And the aliens are coming, and trust your government; they'll protect you. Like this. It's allegedly meant to be just holograms, but you'll be looking at it in the sky as if it's real. So you won't even be able to trust your own eyes in the future. That's how advanced AI will get, is everything that's happening right before your very face might not even be real.
Right. I mean, you could, like the Project Bluebeam thing, that might be so basic compared to what's coming if you think about it. Because AI could make you see a city using holographic technology or something more advanced that's not even there.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Almost like, I hate to bring up a sci-fi show, but like living on the holodeck of Star Trek. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the hologram technique. Yeah, dude. I mean,
we are getting that. We're to the point right now where you don't know for sure what you're seeing online is AI or is somebody actually filmed. I think we're going to get to the point where in person you can't tell.
Yeah, for sure, man.
That is the next
1,000%.
step. Yeah, that's the next step. Within the next year or two, you won't have a clue what's real or what's not. It's concerning.
No, man. What about this fog, though? Have you had any fog out there where you live out west, Joe?
No, we haven't had any fog. I had fog like once or twice in the past year, but there's down in Louisiana they had some real fog in the past couple days. I know.
Yeah, yeah. This lady sent me a video, and she said it left a film on her teeth, dude, like in her mouth, and it had a funny smell to it. Like up here in North Carolina, whenever the video I made, I mean, I wasn't BSing. Like it had like almost like a slight chlorine smell, like an indoor pool smell, kind of. But then it had a burnt plasticky smell to it. It wasn't strong, but you could definitely, and it wasn't just here at the house because we went to town and I smelled it, in town in the Walmart parking lot or something. So it wasn't just a coincidence that I was smelling that. We didn't get sick or anything. So I don't know, man. It makes you wonder, dude.
The one thing
that's not natural.
Overcast. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're right. I was just saying that's not natural. That's not a natural occurring thing to taste that film on your teeth and smell that it's chloriney and that sort of stuff. That doesn't naturally occur in cloud formations or in the atmosphere. That's been put there either by humans or someone else. But that's superficial stuff. It doesn't occur in nature.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. That's absolutely right. There's when people are smelling that or tasting it, it's real. It's real. There's something there.
Definitely.
The thing about here in this area is the two things I've noticed here in Reno, and we're on the base of a mountain. People all think it's just desert, but really the city, we're on the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains in the west coast of the United States. The two things I've noticed is we've had a lot of overcast for the past year. Not every day, but a lot of overcast, okay? And in the past 3 years, we've had snow stick on the ground with significance probably twice. Where we're used to getting where before that, we would get regular snow every winter.
That's happened
that's
everywhere,
weird.
hasn't it? All over the world, the snow patterns, wherever it actually snows, seems to have moved, hasn't it?
And
They try to say global warming.
I don't know what it is. I'm not a big. I think the climate of Earth naturally changes, right?
So do I.
That's how I think. And I could be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. That's just what I believe. Now, we're still getting precipitation here. We're just not getting snow anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one. It's the cycle of the Earth. There's evidence that every 10,000 years it gets warmer, then it gets cooler, warmer and cooler. I don't know if it's connected to the pole shift as the poles move. The Earth gets warmer and colder. I'm not too sure, but there's definitely evidence of it.
Speaking of aliens, did y'all know? Have y'all seen that about eels? How eels? I think it's once a year or something like that. All the eels from all around the world, dude. I mean, even like the freshwater eel. I guess freshwater eels. I'm not really sure. They all migrate to the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
I think what's up with that?
I haven't seen that at all, but I'm going to look into it now.
Look into that.
It's really, really interesting, and they don't know. I think I'm pulling it up now just so I don't butcher it too bad. Look, there's no hard science to suggest the Bermuda Triangle has anything to do with the migrating eels. It says European eels migrate between 5 to 10,000 kilometers across the ocean. Okay, but it's not confirmed. What they do when they get to the Bermuda Triangle. So they're literally traveling thousands of something internally. It's like a switch just turns on and they go. So the theory is that way back a long time ago, some kind of massive craft or something crashed there. And this is just a theory, obviously. And they're from somewhere else. And once a year, they all go back there and nobody knows what they do. I mean, it's just kind of it's kind of a mysterious thing, but to travel thousands, like 10,000 kilometers, dude. I mean, that's a long way to swim across the entire ocean just to go to the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, are they going back to where they originated from or what? But yeah, y'all look into that, man. I'm gonna have to do a video. We should all do a video on that. That's a good
That's
one because
amazing.
you don't see much, man. Like you don't see many videos on this.
No, it's
Yeah, that's
So
pretty crazy. Yeah. Hey, just looping it back to that, atmospheric anomalies that we were talking about before. It kind of reminded me of a story that I seen once, and it kind of blew my mind hearing about this. And it was, I'm not sure what year it was, but it was in Sri Lanka, and they had blood rain. I don't know if you've ever heard about that or seen about that, but yeah, it's just like normal rainfall, but it's got like a red pigmentation in it, so they call it blood rain. It's just like it's raining blood, and obviously when it settles on the ground and there's puddles and stuff everywhere, it looks like blood because it's red in color. And so that was kind of an anomaly because it's not like something that happens all the time there. So there was a scientist there, and he thought, well, I'm going to test this water. I'm going to look at it under a microscope and see what's happening here. And when he did that, he found these sort of microorganisms that were living inside the water. And the peculiar thing about these microorganisms is when they were put into a DNA database, they didn't match any DNA of anything that lived here on Earth. And that's, birds, fish, mammals, reptiles, anything. The DNA structure that was inside these rain molecules didn't match anything here on Earth. And so he thought, oh, that's pretty strange. So I'll do some further tests on it. So he started heating it up, and we're talking, I forget what temperature, but, we're talking hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit, to the point where this thing would be, any microorganisms living inside of this rain droplet when heated up would die. And the strangest thing that happened is they didn't die when put under this extreme heat. And what they did when they were put under the heat is they started duplicating themselves and replicating themselves within, the cell. So he was like, what's going on? Well, once we heat these things, they start duplicating and replicating themselves. And he sent, all of his findings off to, his superiors or whatever. And within a matter of days, he had American, basically like Men in Black, turn up to his studio. Mate, there's nothing to see here. We're confiscating all your findings. They took all his research. They were shutting him down. They didn't want him to continue down this road of finding out what these things were. These organisms weren't from Earth, and they couldn't be killed under fire. And even so, they were duplicating themselves under the extreme heat. It's super weird stuff. And I mean, if that doesn't scream UFO or alien sort of technology, falling from the skies and not being here from Earth, and that, I don't know what does.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that too, man.
It's happened in a few
Blood
places.
rain, and I heard about the blood rain, and I heard about the tests. I never heard about the rest of it. But that doesn't surprise me that some government agency would come and just take all his stuff from him.
Yeah, you hear that all the time, right?
Yeah. Hey, at least he didn't disappear.
The other thing that's peculiar is the UFO movement around nuclear weapons or nuclear energy. You're like, obviously, probably the most famous UFO case of all is Roswell, New Mexico. That's 1945. That's right bang at the same time that Hiroshima and Nagasaki A-bombs are dropped. And the theory is that if this isn't just our planet, there could be alien species or alien human hybrid species that live here. It's their planet too. And if there's countries messing around with nuclear weapons and wanting to decimate the planet, then that's taken away these alien resources and alien planet as well. So they're sort of stepping in and doing their thing to sort of monitor and make sure that we're not being too cowboyish with these nuclear warheads. So yeah, I find that very interesting. And then there's that, obviously, the famous case of what was it called? The English one, Rendlesham Forest incident.
Yeah,
you heard about that one, Doc?
Rendlesham Forest.
And they flew stopped it.
1980. So, yeah, because there was, obviously that's a military base, a UK military base, and they had, this deep bunker that you go underground, and that there would be, two guys in there. They'd be working shifts. So one of them would be manning the computers and making sure everything's, running smoothly, while the other one slept. And they sort of do 12-hour shift rotations like that. And then, one time that was that incident in 1980 that the guy on the computer, all the nuclear warheads started going off like they were going into a launch sequence, and he obviously hadn't pushed any buttons, and he was getting radio communication from ground level saying, like, you got to come up here, you got to come up here. There's like a big orb in the sky, right by their front gate there. And he just didn't know what to do. Like this thing was about to launch these nukes. And then right before it was about to launch, with only seconds left on the countdown clock, the thing was switched off. And like they obviously went up, and there's people on the ground level seeing, a craft hovering over some of their hangars, and it actually burnt a big hole from memory into one of the hangars, and one of the nuclear warheads was missing. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but they had a computer tech go over, the system after it had sort of malfunctioned and was about to launch these nukes, and he worked it out as to what would happen, and the probability of something like it just having a malfunction and doing that by itself was something like 1 in 400 million or something like that. Like it would just never ever happen. But somehow this craft was able to take control of the system and launch manually the nuclear weapons. Well, they didn't launch, but go into a launch sequence, and just luckily the thing closed down before it did. But yeah, they're obviously testing us, and they have the technology to override any of our advanced systems. And yeah, there's something about the nuclear energy, that they need to either power their ships or something as an energy source that they need. But wherever there's nuclear weapons or the threat of nuclear weapons, there seems to be UFO activity as well. So yeah, I just find that quite peculiar,
Yeah, dude.
I agree with you. I also think that with the Rendlesham Forest thing, people always say, how come aliens don't just land on the White House lawn and, introduce themselves? Well, it's kind of better if you introduce yourself by going to a military base, basically confiscating the weapons to the point that you could set them off, and then just stopping.
Yeah, showing your power.
If that's not hello, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's as good as a introduction as you're ever going to get.
Yeah, dude, that makes sense, man.
It's basically like saying, we're here, don't F with us, because we can wipe you out in a second. We're much more powerful than you, so you better fall in line with these nukes and stop playing around here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the reason we're seeing all these orbs and drones and stuff in the sky, maybe we're on the brink of that sort of stuff again. I know the previous administration in America didn't do many favors with making allies with pretty powerful people, like Russia and North Korea and a lot of these other folk that have these things. It's pretty unsettling times. I think for the most part, Trump has a little bit of a better relationship with the leaders of those countries. So hopefully things sort of settle down. But yeah, the last thing we need is another Cold War or something like that.
Yeah, for real on that, dude. I just want my kids to grow up in a good, safe world, man. I mean, we all, we've all of us have got kids, all 4 of us, and just want them to live a good life and not have to worry about BS along the way. There's going to be troubles and stuff along the way, but I don't want it to turn out like one of these movies these apocalyptic movies that you see, and there's so many of them. I don't live in fear or anything, but I just want my kids to live in a good world, man. I mean, love is the answer. If everybody could understand that, then we could live a much better life. But not everybody gets it. Y'all do, but most people don't quite understand that.
Yeah, and I mean, people are quick to say it's conspiracy theories and it's not true, but, for how long did the American government in particular lie to the public about the existence of UFO or UAP, they call them now, and it was only, last year in Congress they come clean and say, well, actually, these things do exist, and we haven't been forthcoming for the last, 60-odd years, so we'd like to report these things now because we want to keep a close eye on them, but, 10 years ago, that was taboo to talk about, and these things, that was just nonsense to talk about them because they just didn't exist. You were crazy to even think about them being in the sky or existing, and yet here they are. They are real and they do exist, and they want you to report on them now. So what else are they lying about? Like I know there's been long talks of the Galactic Federation. Allegedly they have manuscripts of all the galactic fleet that are out there, and the captains and the crew of all these alien ships. There's a record of this somewhere. And, for years, people say that, that's BS and that doesn't exist. It's only a matter of time before the lid's blown on something like that, where they say, well, actually, that is true as well. And we do have a list of the fleet and the captains and the crew of these alien craft, So
exactly,
it's just a matter of time, really.
Well, there's a hacker in the UK. He hacked into NASA, and he supposedly got he got bits of information before he got caught, but he got the captain's names of these certain ships, but it wasn't like HMS or what do you call them in the United States shore ships? What's the prefix at the start? Is it USS?
USS.
Yeah,
Yeah, the SS, whatever.
yeah, it wasn't USS, it was something else. And I think he put it down to United States Space Force. I think it was USSF captain and then a name, and he had a list of all these captains and crews that he'd got off the NASA computers.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at those theories of, like the Anunnaki, how they, they come here and they made a deal with, the leaders of the world at the time. Like, look, the theory is that, they need gold for their survival, and wherever their planet is, they've run scarce of gold. It's no longer available. So obviously gold is plentiful on Earth. So they, do a bit of a trade. Like, we'll give you some of our advanced technology and, in trade for like a labor force that can mine the gold for us to, carry on the existence of our species. So, it seems pretty far-fetched, but, you look at all the different species of animals and stuff that are here on Earth, and it's not too far-fetched to think that there's different sort of species of upright walking, not humans, but, people that, beings that walk upright and that have two eyes and two arms and two legs. It's not too far-fetched to think that they're different from us. I mean, there's all these different animal species out there,
And then they're real. Wait, go ahead, Joe.
A lot of stuff that seems far-fetched, it might now, but it won't later. Like, I think about when I was a kid. If you told me, even when I was 20 years old, that I'm going to have something that fits in the palm of my hand that's basically a TV studio.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put out 1-minute stories 4 or 5 times a day, and millions of people are going to see them. I would have said you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
That's not possible. And that's just a cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the possibility that there is a space force out there, I can believe it. The possibility that there's other life forms living on this earth that we don't know about, other intelligent life forms, I can believe that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you took a gorilla and you said, look, there's other species that kind of look like you, and they, they eat bananas, and they, they're kind of monkey looking. If they hadn't seen one before, they'd be like, well, if gorillas could talk, obviously, they'd be like, well, that's bullshit. That doesn't exist. And it's like, well, here's a chimpanzee and here's a monkey, and it's just like, there's so many species that kind of look like each other, but they're completely different species. They're a completely different animal. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not too far-fetched. When people say, oh, that doesn't exist, there's no way. It's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't it exist?
Exactly. My mind is always open to that stuff. And the farther I get, or the more I look into stuff, the more my mind opens up even more to the possibilities.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yes,
man.
definitely. It's just
I
the older we
I think
get.
it's naive to have your mind closed off and say that doesn't exist, because anything's possible in this life.
Absolutely anything, dude.
100%. There's one thing I wanted to get your take on, guys. I don't know if you've heard this thing before. I only heard it a couple of days ago. It's called the dead internet theory.
The dead internet theory.
Has anyone heard of it?
I think I have, maybe.
It's
Is that where the internet's going to get shut down?
It's where the
So there's
internet's
a lack of
already been
communication?
shut down. Supposedly, the internet's already been shut down in 2016, and it's now being run by AI and bots. The vast majority of the internet is dead.
Dead. Let's see the dead. I'm looking. I'm pulling.
Have a
it
look
up
at it
now.
now. Yeah, just have a quick look at it.
Wow.
Is the online conspiracy? Let's see. Of course, conspiracy that asserts due to a coordinated and intentional effort, the internet now consists mainly of bot activity and automatically generated content with a manipulated algorithm. I mean, we know the algorithms can get manipulated on these platforms, so they could probably very easily manipulate the entire everything. The internet. It says the date of the given death is generally around 2016. Yeah. That's interesting, dude.
It's just when you have a look on like X and you have a look on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're looking, even TikTok, and you look at some of the comments, they make no sense to the actual video, no sense to anything else.
There's a lot of bots.
Yeah.
Oh my
I get bots all the time, and one thing I get with bots is, and I notice it more on Instagram, is I gain a few hundred followers a day, and then once a month or every 6 weeks or so, a whole bunch drop. They're just gone.
Yeah,
And
Clark
it's
said
because
that.
they're clearing out the bots.
Oh yeah, dude, man. Yeah, I know that's Instagram's bad about that stuff for sure with the bot situation.
Yeah, you can always tell when they interact with you because they start off by saying "Hello, dear."
Yeah.
And like no one talks to you like that. So you're like, it's
Are
like,
you into Bitcoin mining? Like, no, I'm not. Go away, you scammer bot. Leave me alone. Jeez.
yeah, it's
Just
pretty,
makes you
pretty
think, doesn't
interesting.
it? Just makes you think how much of the internet is actually open and how much of it is closed.
Well,
I
could
think
see-
we get access to a very small amount of it for sure, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Clark. Because I've heard that, like, and it's like second or third hand, but then in other countries they get news and stuff that we're never even told in the U.S. That never comes across us. And
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like allies of the U.S. too, where we're all like in a bubble, and in other places they hear stuff that we don't. And in fact, I know that that's got to be true. That there's
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%.
you think the internet is something where you can find out anything that's going on in the world. I think it's very censored, at least.
Yes.
At the least.
Yeah, there's stuff going on in this country. That's pretty much why we've got Steve obviously on that side of the world, me here, Clark over there. I hear things that you guys don't hear. You hear things that I don't ever hear about. It's just crazy.
So what about news? Speaking of that, what about New Zealand, Steve? Like, what's some? So do y'all have a lot of different UFO stories? I know there was one. I think it was New Zealand. The kids were in elementary school and the UFO rolled up. But is that a big thing in New Zealand? Like everybody's like, "Oh, look at the UFOs," or is it just kind of like an American thing?
Yeah, well, there's no big stories like like the Brazil one or like Roswell or anything like that, where there's like crashes as such. But yeah, just an hour and 1 hour north of me is a place called Kaikoura, and that's there's a lot of marine life and stuff there. It's sort of where, the island, where it goes into the beach, it slips off to where it's just kilometers deep of ocean. So yeah, it's plentiful. There's whale migrations and stuff all through there, and that's sort of like the UFO highway, if you will. There's the most amount of UFO sightings come from Kaikoura. Where people, obviously the skies are quite clear out there. It's away from the city and whatnot. And yeah, that's out of everywhere in New Zealand. Obviously, in New Zealand, there's two islands, and they're called the North Island and the South Island. And I live in the biggest city in the South Island, Christchurch. But yeah, Kaikoura is about an hour north of Christchurch, and yeah, that's where most, if not all, of the UFO activity is seen from, it's reported from. So yeah, mainly it's just sightings and people recording that. But yeah, no big events in terms of like aliens walking on the earth or crash landings or anything like that. Yeah, it's mainly it's all sightings. But yeah, that's known as the UFO highway through Kaikoura there because there's so many recorded sightings there. Yeah,
Is that volcanic up there, Steve?
It is the Banks Peninsula, which is it's sort of like if you look at New Zealand on a map, there's like a big knob sort of to the right-hand side of the South Island. That's called Banks Peninsula. Mm-hmm. So that was actually formed by a volcano back in the day. That's it's non-active now, that volcano. But yeah, certainly when you go into the North Island, Mount Ruapehu, that's still an active volcano that sort of explodes, erupts every sort of 4 or 5 years, really. So yeah, there's a lot of volcanic activity through the North Island, a lot of geysers and stuff where you can walk and you can actually see pockets of steam coming out of the ground and stuff where there's thermal activity around there. So yeah, whether that's has to do with an energy source or something that UFOs could potentially use, I'm not sure. But there is, obviously New Zealand sits on the South Pacific plate, which goes right up through and sits on the San Andreas plate, up through LA and stuff like that. So, yeah, but whenever those plates rub together, obviously we get earthquakes and stuff here. I'm convinced our earthquake in 2011 in Christchurch was actually caused by direct energy weapon from Antarctica. I've seen videos and stuff on that. Yeah, it's
pretty too, man. So yeah, real quick, dude. Yeah, about that. So they were testing stuff in Antarctica, and it caused an earthquake in New Zealand, right?
Yeah. So the I forget the guy's name, but he was like a military anyway. He was a fireman, and he sort of oversaw a lot of areas that not everyone had access to there in Antarctica. And yeah, he certainly said that the station that's there certainly does what it's says that it does. What the station is, it's basically picks up on any sort of vibrational frequency that goes through there. So it's picking up, UFO activity that's in the atmosphere or flying overhead. I heard there's a lot of UFO activity in Antarctica, but it picks up all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it also has these big balls that are sort of the size of a basketball, and there's hundreds of thousands of them all buried into the ice, and they all emit like a vibration, a frequency, and they're designed. Those things, that's what they're there for. They're designed to pick up the sort of vibration and frequency of sort of aerial phenomenon, if you will, around that area. And the station certainly does what it says, but it does a lot more than sort of what meets the eye, And this thing is a direct energy weapon. And when fired up and then turned, there's obviously like a volume thing on it. When it's turned right up, it sends just massive seismic vibrational activity through the Earth. And obviously, we're the closest neighbor to Antarctica. And I think it was an accident, but when they fired this thing up and sort of, tested some of its capabilities and, cranked on that volume knob, it's obviously sent huge vibrations right through, to us. And just so happened that it just shook. It shook Christchurch to shit, and a lot of our buildings, Christchurch was sort of old Victorian style buildings. They're built with, they don't have a lot of steel reinforcement and stuff like that. Sort of brick and mortar type buildings, and they lost most of them, man. I mean, they just crumbled to the ground. So
Wow.
I forget how many people died. I should know this, but it was about 211 or something people died. But I was right in the heart of the city, man, when that happened. Like, I literally seen some of these Victorian era buildings like crumble to the ground. And I was in my van at the time, and we obviously drive on the left-hand side of the road here in New Zealand, and driving down the road, I was driving straight, and my van went across to the right-hand lane and then back to the left-hand lane. And when I was driving straight, and then when I was reversing up, I was literally reversing over brick and mortar and rubble and stuff. What had once been a tall building, beside me, it just sort of crumbled to the ground. So I was very lucky to escape out of there. But a lot of people got crushed and killed, and it was pretty. It changed Cantabrians. We live on the Canterbury Plains, so we're called Cantabrians. It changed Cantabrians' lives, man, and. We used to go to town quite a lot, but we sort of started living our life with not going there, because that was cordoned off by the military, and it took years and years and years to rebuild. Like, there's still some sites in there now. That was back in 2011. There's still some sites now that are yet to be rebuilt. So it's a lot different now. It's really modern and stuff. But these Treminos in the Antarctic ice there, they are what set it off. So that's pretty crazy, man, because. When you think of all the other things that's going on, like these Maui fires and the LA fires and the earthquakes everywhere else, it's like, Dubai getting floods and things like that. It's all sort of man-made stuff, and you're led to believe, it's just a natural disaster and these things happen. And that's what we thought at the time when these Christchurch earthquakes happened, that it was just a natural thing and it's just sort of like a 1 in a million chance. But the more I learned about it and the rabbit hole went down, it's not the case at all. It's fully man-made and totally preventable.
I believe that stuff is man-made. Some of the things that's gotten to me over the past few years in the United States is the earthquakes in the Midwest that never happened when I was living there.
But now
it happens all the time. There's once a month just about an earthquake in the Midwest United States.
Golly, dude. Yeah, I didn't know there was that. I didn't know it was monthly, man. That's it's pretty scary.
Yeah, and that's
stuff.
the thing too. Like when you have an earthquake, people just think, "Oh man, that area is hard done by. They had that one big earthquake." That's not the case, man. Like we had the one big earthquake, and then it's just hundreds of thousands of, they call them aftershocks afterwards, where they're still an earthquake, but they're like on a mini scale. They may not be enough to damage property or like open up the earth or anything like that, but you certainly feel them, man. Like the ground shakes violently, and it might only last for a couple of seconds, but it's insignificant in terms of the big earthquake. So it's just sort of called an aftershock or a tremor, and then that went on for months after the earthquake. That probably happened for at least 6 to 9 months afterwards.
Wow.
There would be multiple a day, where it would just go, and you can hear it. It's almost like someone turning up the bass or something. It's like you can hear it from the inside the earth. Basically, it goes like, it's like a big rumble, and then it will go, and everything starts shaking. And it could last from anything from sort of like 1 second to 10 seconds, but. And then they'll report it, and it'll be whatever on the Richter scale, but it's not classed in itself as an actual earthquake. because it's just like an aftershock or a tremor from the big one. So yeah, that happened for months and months afterwards. Like you sort of, lots of people moved away from Christchurch because they just couldn't handle it. They didn't know whether it was their house was about to fall down on them every
I
time
was
this
about to
thing
say,
happened.
you don't know if it's going to be a big one again or not.
Yeah, dude. You're just waiting to see. Like, is this going to be another big one? So yeah, it really put the shits up a lot of people. But yeah, in a weird way, you almost got used to them, because they happened every day, multiple times a day. You just, oh, here we go again, like another little tremor, and you just, yeah, you do a little earth dance, while it's happening, and then it would just sort of simmer down again. It sort of became part of the norm, which was super weird. But yeah, we haven't experienced that in years now. But yeah, for months and months afterwards, at least 6 to 9 months afterwards, that happened every day.
Dude,
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
they said the rumor was a misfire, wasn't it? Supposed to be, well, I don't know if you call it a misfire, but that's what the rumor was. It misfired. It's supposed to be under the ocean, but it misfired.
Yeah, but that's it, like if I misfired a gun at someone and it killed them, I'll still go to prison for it.
Yeah.
There's no one being held accountable for the deaths of all these people, man.
No.
Like a guy I knew at the tattoo studio where I'd go, that was right in town, and he was only a young fella. He was only like sort of 26, and he got crushed and killed in that earthquake. And along with lots of other people too, man. There was a CCTV building here, and that wasn't built properly, and that just pancaked out. I think it was about 14 stories, and basically it just pancaked down, one story into the next, until it was just rubble on the ground. And I'm pretty sure everyone died in that building, So yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff, man.
Something about Antarctica that's always got to me when you tell a story like that and people will tell you it's impossible. I absolutely believe what you just said. Because it makes sense. But the thing about Antarctica that always gets to me is, how come that's the only place on Earth where all those countries have kept a treaty?
Yeah, that's the thing to me, like there's wars and shit going all over the place and countries disagreeing and hating on each other. You really think not going to Antarctica and exploring the continent is something that all those countries that are invested in that place all agree on? Like, I don't think so. Pilots aren't allowed to fly across there. No one's allowed there. There's a small area called Scott Base, which people do go to, and there's often employment here in New Zealand where they say, oh, come to Antarctica and do 6 months of construction or whatever. There obviously is a place where people can go there, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like that's a very, very small and heavily sanctioned and guarded place. You can't just go off exploring like, oh, I'm going to go for a 4-month, 4-month walk into the ice and just see what I explore. Like that's absolutely not allowed. When you're there, you're under strict guidance, and what they allow you to see is a very, very minuscule part of what's actually there. Like Admiral Byrd, when he went there, he reported to his superiors that he had seen things that really, really put the shits up him, and he said, we have a new enemy that can fly from pole to pole in a matter of seconds, and he's talking about UFOs. He's talking about outer worldly craft, and it's like, he's made it, all that stuff is sort of hush hush, and if it is come to light, he's sort of made out like, oh, he must have just been suffering from, atmospheric sickness or, hypothermia or something. He's just hallucinating, he's seeing things, and what he's seen, the credibility is squashed, because people just discredit it as not real. But I believe what he did see there was something significant, and obviously when Buzz Aldrin went there, he made a tweet that said that, there's belief that there's pyramids and all sorts down there. But yeah, he made a tweet that said, we've uncovered true evil. I've looked into the face of true evil, and we should all be afraid. And then he quickly deleted the tweet, but not before people were able to screenshot it and sort of decipher. Like, he's sort of speaking code in a little way, but after that, he suffered a massive heart attack, and I believe that's brought on from what he saw down there, and it's like, he's in Antarctica. That's, even though New Zealand's Antarctica's closest neighbor, it's still a hell of a journey to get to Antarctica from New Zealand, and I couldn't imagine extracting him from Scott Base or wherever he was in Antarctica and bringing him back to New Zealand and treating him for his heart attack would A, be an easy thing to do, and B, be a very, a cheap or inexpensive exercise to do. So I believe whatever he saw did trigger his heart attack, and it relates to the tweet that he made, which was quickly deleted. To get him out of there is a no small feat to bring him back to New Zealand so he can heal from his heart attack, Like, he's seen something that put the absolute shits up him, and he tried to talk about it, but obviously the powers that be quickly deleted it. You know, they don't want people knowing what's down there. And Antarctica's always interested me because it's just shrouded in mystery, and there's a lot more there than meets the eye. You know, sure, those stations they're at, they are for monitoring atmospheric pressure and doing this and that, but there's a whole lot more to the station, than what that is. You know, there's more than meets the eye, if you will.
1,000%, dude. They are for sure. I mean, more land resources, aliens, something, and then like in the North Pole, the old maps, they talk about the Black Rock and the four rivers. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. In the middle, there's the magnetic Black Rock, the Rupes, Niagara, however you say it, y'all know what I'm talking about. So that kind of stuff. There's, man, that for sure, 1,000%, there is a lot being hidden. There is no way, like you said, they all just agreed. There's no way. There's just not, unless there was okay, well, look, we're going to have to agree on this, or, so this is going to happen. We can't let the public know, or, something.
It just seems, especially when the world's at war with each other and constantly in disagreement about the smallest things. Yeah, that's the one thing they all agree on. Like, oh, we just won't go and explore Antarctica any further than what we're allowed to see. So yeah, there's definitely something up with that. You got to ask the question. Like, why?
Dude. Yeah. One day I'm going. I'm gonna go. I want to go and just see it. I don't know. I'm going to have a couple $100 million. That way I'll have the power to do what I want, hopefully, and the team and all that stuff. But I think about a decade out should be ready. There's no telling how things are going. So what do you think, Joe? So 10 years from now, I know it's a long ways away. I don't like to think about it either, but 10 years, what do you think, how do you think the world's going to look if still around, still going? As far as AI technology, I know the sky's the limit, but do you think there's going to be obviously robots walking around? I mean, do you think it's going to be like the movie Ready Player One, where you can put the little headset on and you go inside the video game, and so you're physically there? You feel like you, just as you're sitting right here talking to us, you're inside a video game, though, kind of like on Black Mirror. Do you think it's gonna be like that and just be a normal thing for robots and all that stuff?
I think like the Ready Player One situation is probably very, very, very likely that'll be what your entertainment is. You're just inside of everything. The concern I've been having over thinking about this, because my son's in his senior year of college and he's in the advanced master's program, is that jobs kids are going to have are going to have to be something that is necessary. So like people who go for political science degrees, that kind of stuff, that's going to be useless. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So I can see us. This is kind of a weird way to say it. Remember the cartoon Wall-E?
Yeah.
Where they're all just sitting there like me, getting fat, drinking their sodas, and everything happens for them.
They don't walk or anything. They got the TV screen in front of them. Yeah. They've destroyed the Earth pretty much. They live on a spaceship. Yeah.
Is that the future?
Man, it's definitely a possibility, dude. I mean, for sure, a possibility, and that's scary. That's very scary if you think about it.
I'm just afraid that a lot of the stuff that we are needed for, we won't be anymore. And
yeah, for sure.
I think it's going to come down to two things, and I kind of hope the one, as bad as it sounds, is necessary. Physical labor. I hope that's one of the things, and I know it sounds bad to say I hope physical labor is a thing, because people are going to need to have some kind of employment. And then the other is going to be the things that are super important, like engineering, any kind of computer sciences that could help AI, or I'm guessing. I just think a lot of careers are going to be eliminated.
Yeah, that's scary, dude. People that have been in their field for.
I hate to feel this way too, because I'm really a person who has a lot of hope, and I just, gosh, I hope I wish I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, dude, on all that for sure.
So go on,
Steve and
Clark.
Doc, what do
Where
you guys think about this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what do y'all think?
I was going to say the same thing. Go on, Steve. You go first.
Oh, I've always thought that the more AI gets advanced, that we'll all just have almost like a. You see these personal home help robots by Tesla now. I think the price of those and the obtainability of those will just come down and down and down to eventually everyone will have one, and they'll just be programmed with all the knowledge that we've learned, whatever people's professions are, whatever they're knowledgeable about in their life, will just be sort of downloaded and passed on to their personal home help robot. And I believe that in the future, if they're like you say, with the workforce, being almost eliminated, it will just become AI robots, I reckon. And there'll still be those trades that exist, but it won't be a person coming around to do those jobs for you. It'll be their home help robot. So if you need, electrical work done, or if you need a plumber or something like that, you'll still call the plumber, but it won't be him that comes around to do it. It'll be his plumbing robot, or it'll be the electrical robot. Or, it'll all just be outsourced to AI robots that will do the work for the human, and then the human will get paid. So they won't necessarily need to be the workforce anymore. Their home help robot will do that. And, maybe that is true in that movie, Wall-E, where people are just sitting around getting fat because they're no longer needing to work. Their AI robot does it for them, and they're still getting paid. It's not them doing the work. It's just outsourced to AI. So yeah, I fully think that's going to be a possibility for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Mine's a bit more doom and gloom than all of yours. I think personally, in the next 10 years, is going to be a major event. I think they know about it now, and I think we're being geared up for it. I think there's going to be some kind of asteroid impact, something like
Apophis
that.
or whatever. Are you talking about Apophis?
Possibly Apophis, yeah. That's 2027 or 2034. I'm not sure which one. There's two dates, isn't there?
There's one coming in 2032 that I just made a video about. They call it the City Killer. It's not like the big one, but it's one that
almost done it.
Yeah, it's one like that, and I think they're gearing us up for that at the moment with these advances in AI and technologies like that. I don't want it to be obviously a fallout situation, but I think they're going to put the elite into bunkers and we're all left to fend for ourselves. It's personally how I feel.
I want to ask you all a question, and because I don't want to think the negative on this, but I think the negative is true. Do you think if something like that is happening, they see it happening, they just let it happen? The powers to be, an asteroid wipe out 90%.
There would be global catastrophic. Like everybody would freak out, dude. They're like, all right, well, in 7 days, there's an asteroid's going to hit. Just like in that movie Armageddon, they're like, we can't tell them, until because if we tell them, there's going to be mass chaos. And they did tell them, I know, towards the end, but the mass chaos it would cause, dude. I mean, just imagine that.
I just think they don't tell us at all. They just let us get wiped out. Now, I know that's a real downer thing to say.
But it's probably true, dude.
That's 100% true. They wouldn't tell. Everyone would stop going to work. The whole system would collapse. It would be absolutely
What were you saying, Joe? I just cut you.
No,
off.
I was just saying.
My bad, dude.
I was just saying, that they would never tell us, and they would just let the population of the Earth get down to like their goal, like 500 million.
Yeah, they would do. They would hope they could survive. They'd all be in their little bunkers somewhere. That would be it.
Yeah, well, they obviously know something's coming because a lot of those top, we're talking the 1% of the 1% of those, rich elites. They're building underground bunkers in New Zealand like you wouldn't believe. Like there's lots of land here that's, it's pure. It almost hasn't been touched by man before, and so they're wiping out trees, they're clearing mountainsides, they're constructing, and then they're building underground bunkers. I know Zuck has one here, and Bezos and a few of those dudes that they're doomsday prepping, and they're using New Zealand as their base. When the world turns to shit, no one really knows about New Zealand. We're tucked away in the corner of the globe here. No one's trying to nuke us, and no one's trying to come at war with us. We're almost insignificant in the eyes of the elite powers, so it makes sense to build underground bunkers here because if shit hits, this is probably the safest place for them to be. So yeah, they obviously know something's coming, or they're planning for something, because you wouldn't spend, we're talking, these bunkers are hundreds of millions of dollars to construct, and
that's crazy,
they obviously have the money. It's just a drop in the ocean for them, but you wouldn't invest in something like that unless you knew that something was going to kick off in the future.
No, definitely not. Clark, you give us yours, and then we'll finish up.
What's going to happen? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a combination of all y'all, dude. Either, there's a possibility that there is something coming our way, and I don't know what I don't know. I don't think they would tell us no. I don't think they would, man. I just think technology is and AI is gonna get so far out of control here in the next year or two. Really, in the next, I mean, because the way it's evolving, it's just like an unprecedented scale, is what some guy said. I just watched a video on, and he's right. So, just pretty scary stuff, man. Pretty scary stuff. Pretty
Yeah,
much a combo
definitely.
of what all y'all said. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Right, shall we finish this one up? Joe, do you want to give a shout out to any of your socials or anything like that so people can follow you?
Well, I'm mostly on Joe Gillespie the Great. The reason I named myself originally Joseph Gillespie, Joe Gillespie the Great, because on YouTube they wouldn't let me call myself Joe Gillespie the A-hole. That's where the great part came from. So Joe Gillespie the Great on Instagram is probably the best place to find me. And if you guys message me on Instagram, I'll find it. But if you do it on like TikTok, I'm never going to see it.
Perfect.
Look, he's the guy that's got the cheese on his head, and he says Shabadoo. So a lot of y'all might not know the name Joe Gillespie, but with the big cheese, you know, the legend himself. So yeah, that's where he's at, and they'll know who you are for sure, dude.
Clark, thank you for saying that, but I'm a legend of nothing. Just a guy
Dude, oh yeah, don't be getting modest, man. Yeah.
To us, you're not to us. You're the man. You are the man to us.
I am
Yeah, man.
so thankful. I want to tell you, all three of you, I am so thankful you let me in on this. I love to talk to people who have the same type of mindset as me, and I always learn something. And Steve, the stuff that I learned about New Zealand, from the earthquake, from what happened in Antarctica, to the bunkers, are things I never heard before till now.
Dude, that's what's
It's
up.
pretty wild stuff, man. I mean, it hits home because I lived it. You know, I lived through these earthquakes, and I've always sort of wondered, like, what really caused that. You know, it can't just be seismic activity. There's got to be a bit more to, you know, the story. And when I uncovered that, it just blew my mind, dude. Because, yeah, like I say, you know, if you shoot someone with a gun, you're accountable. But, you know, someone can push a button in another continent and wipe out a whole bunch of people here, and there's just no repercussions from it. You know, I think it's crook, and it definitely needs to be explored more and exposed. You know.
It does.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
brilliant.
well, thanks, heaps, Joe. Really appreciate your insights into these topics, and we really appreciate you coming on and having your say, man. So thanks, heaps.
Anytime
dude,
you
we're
guys want,
honored.
just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to you as well, Steve, for getting up early for us. Don't forget, you're early in the morning there.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm about to
Yeah.
start my day. So yeah, happy days, boys. Happy days.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to you as well, Clark. Thanks for coming on again.
Cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, we enjoyed it, everybody, and yeah. I guess
Perfect.
everybody, y'all take it easy, man.
Definitely. Take it easy, and we'll see you all again on the next show next week.
Awesome,
Okay,
guys. Hey,
everybody,
thanks so much.
take care.
Across the pond,